If I had to build my LinkedIn followers from zero in just 7 days and set myself up to make millions again, this is exactly what I would do step by step. Right now it's day one, and we're going to build something that will make people go, wow, this person is legitimate and I really want to know more about them. And it takes just 2 minutes, because research shows that once we make a first impression, it lasts for months and it's almost impossible to undo. And the first place that people's eyes go on your LinkedIn profile is your profile image. And getting this even slightly wrong makes everything that you do on LinkedIn way more difficult than it has to be. Now, in the past, you'd have needed to get a pro photographer or a friend, and that would have run into hundreds of dollars and loads of time. But things have changed, and you can now do this with your phone to make you look amazing using AI. So here's what to do. Grab your phone, take 12 selfies. Don't worry about being in a really perfectly lit place or wearing the right clothes. Just make sure, pro tip, you're smiling, because that's what gets the best results. Throw it into one of these AI apps, and don't worry, later on we will let you know which are the best ones. Once you get the results, here's the important bit. Throw it in this free app here and make sure you score above 6, ideally 7 if you can, for authority, likability, and trust. Once you've done that, we're ready for the next activity on day one, because in just 1 more minute, we need to make the biggest decision that will determine if your LinkedIn presence takes off like a rocket into space or gets stuck at the launch pad. And what do I mean? Well, imagine right now you've decided you want to get fit and you're choosing a gym. You've got the massive chain gyms all over town that try to serve everybody. They've got weights, they've got cardio, yoga, swimming pools, everything. Then you've got the specialized CrossFit gyms that focus just on functional fitness, usually a lot smaller. But here's what's interesting about that. That specialized gym isn't trying to compete directly with the big gyms. Instead, they've taken a small slice of that proven market with demand and are serving them better than anybody else, often at a premium. And that's exactly what you need to do on LinkedIn. So for example, not just sales professionals, but maybe software sales professionals with long sales cycles who sell to enterprise. Not just physical product companies, but maybe physical product companies with a health product selling in the USA. And now you're ready for day one's last task, which is just 2 more minutes. And this will make you more popular than a mechanic when your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. And that's right, it's the headline. And most people do this wrong. They write things like, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I've got an MBA, and so on and so forth. But this is all wrong, because imagine going into a restaurant and on the menu, instead of the food that you can order, they just tell you how great the chef is. And that's it. You'd have no idea what they offer. If you're anything like me, you'd walk up and leave. Yeah, that's exactly what people do on LinkedIn. Imagine right now your ideal client that you've just defined sitting at their desk working on what they love, and then their phone goes, they answer it, and it's some bad news. Maybe they lost a deal or a member of staff resigned, and this stuff keeps happening. They look around the office and then they just sigh because they don't know what to do. That's the problem we want to speak to. So the simple structure is I help whatever the market you named before to avoid problem from the phone call. So it could be I help SaaS salespeople selling to enterprise close more deals even if they have a long sales cycle. Or I help e-commerce companies selling health products in the US via TikTok to reduce returns and increase sales. All right, so let's move to day 2. Now it's time to get conversations that lead to cash and clients in just 2 hours work. And instead of coming across as an unwelcome spammer, we're going to do something different. And that's unfortunately what I was doing when I got started. I thought it was right to send loads of messages to complete strangers, and I got nowhere. I almost gave up, and then something interesting happened. A connection request came into me from someone who I'd worked with at IBM in the past, and I accepted it without thinking. And then the next day, someone from my old university reached out, and I did exactly the same. Both turned into great conversations where we discussed our commonalities, and trust was almost instant. And that's when it hit me. The answer to quick clients was right in my own background. I immediately ran a search for people that worked where I worked and targeted them, and went to college where I went to college. And that's literally how how I got my first client from nothing and an 80% reply rate. Here's exactly how to do this. And I recommend, if you haven't already, get a free trial on LinkedIn Sales Navigator just for 30 days. Give it a go. Go to the search here, type the company or the college. But here's the key. Don't choose one of the options that drops down, or that will bring up people that work there now. Instead, just press enter. Then filter for people that posted in the last 30 days, because we don't want to be chasing ghosts and we want to know people are active on the platform. That gives higher probability of quick wins. Then I like to go to seniority level wherever I'm targeting. If possible, also target local, because we want small, narrow searches. And boom, you're good to go to the next step. And by the way, if you want me to personally look at your searches, have a look below and see if we're running one of our live trainings. If we are, it's free and I'll personally look at it. But for now, it's day 3. And once people accept and reply to what you just did, we move them gently across to talking about business. And most people get this wrong and jump head first into asking if they need help with whatever they sell. So if they're a video editor, they might say something like, do you need any video editors? But this makes the conversation more awkward than proposing on the first date. And I like to do this by thinking about what I do at a party. I'd usually say something like, hey Naeem, I saw you started a business. Is it as challenging as everybody says it is? Boom, you've naturally moved the conversation onto them and the topic you wanted. Here's how to do it on LinkedIn. Go to the profile, scroll down, look at the last 2 jobs or transition and put them into a message exactly like you see on screen. You'll get replies and we'll come back to what to say in a minute. So let's move on to day 4 and get even more warm leads into your network in just a couple more hours. And to do this, most people spend ages crafting perfect content posts. But if you don't have any followers, that's like making a presentation to an empty room. Waste of time. But there's actually a way better way. And this is what all the wealthy LinkedIn performers know. They think of LinkedIn like a music concert. The headliners, the big influencers with 100,000 followers are on the main stage, drawing a massive crowd. Most people make the mistake of trying to compete with them straight away, but that takes years and no band gets on the main stage unless they're proven. Now, the great news is that at any music concert, there's always opportunities for brand new bands to warm up the crowd and get seen by all the people watching. And that's exactly how the LinkedIn algorithm works, because when somebody with, say, 100,000 followers makes a post on LinkedIn, it shows the comments in the feed. And that means when you leave a thoughtful comment on their post, you're essentially borrowing their stage, borrowing their spotlight, borrowing their audience and getting seen by thousands in just days. And here's how to do it. Don't try and contradict. Don't try and make yourself look good, because nobody likes negativity. Just write something like this. Hey Naeem, that's such a great idea. I'm going to try that myself. So you recognize them and they look good. And then you say, have you also ever tried, and add your great suggestion. And they won't be able to resist replying, because it gives them even more chance to shine. All right, it's day 5 and now the conversations will be going deeper. And we need to make sure people are taking us seriously enough to become clients by letting them know we're actually good at what we do. And I used to be terrible at this. I look at other people's profiles with their long list of achievements and think, how do they do this without feeling like they're bragging or awkward? Then I discovered something fascinating about human psychology. It changed everything. Think of your LinkedIn profile like a coffee shop. When people walk by, they don't want to hear the owner shouting about how good the coffee is and how good the atmosphere is. They want to look through the window and see happy customers having a great time. And on LinkedIn, some recommendations are taken way more seriously than others. Here's how to get the great ones. Step 1, find people who are in senior positions you worked with before, because people respect them. Connect with them. Ask if they'll do a recommendation. And here's the thing. Make sure you give them a draft, because this increases the response rate dramatically. And make sure this draft mentions how long they knew you, that they trusted you, and what they liked about you. There's a prompt below if you want to grab it, and it goes without saying here, make it truthful or they're unlikely to post. Then simply click here, send her the request and wait for them to roll in. And if you do this, by the end of day 7, you will absolutely have an audience to take advantage of. And if you want to put rocket fuel on this strategy, check this video here, because it's going to show you how to take what we've done and amplify it and get even more engagement, clients and revenue.